Okay, so this is part 3. In 1 and 2 we opened, looked at an error, looked at the metadata in part 2 and a couple of other things, but we don't want to do any of that. We want to know exactly what we want to do, and then we want to provide a folder and get it to automatically generate the ome.tifs we need from there. So we're going to generate a macro in this one, and so of course we start with our record window and we try and figure out what we need to do to cut that into a macro and edit it as we need to. In the interest of time, I will just tell you straight off that if you use the import a function from this menu here that you can pop out, it won't record in the window. If you drag and drop, it won't record in the window, and you have to go to plugins and use the particular menu option here. This one, when you run it through here, you will get something in the recorder that's of use. And it's similar on the way out. If you use this pop-up menu, it doesn't give you a recorder option. It does give you an option if you use the save as ome.tif that's hidden down here that you can't see. You see it there. It'll also give you an option if you use the bioformats exporter from this menu here. We'll have a different part text here, and I can't tell you the difference at the moment if it has the bioformats exporter versus the ome.tif. If anybody knows, please post in the comments. That'd be great to hear. So these are the two things we need. This is for getting it in, and this is for getting it out. So these two things we'll use in our macro. We have a macro that's sort of just a template for a starting point here. Just we'll go through to save a little bit of time. We have a I commonly use this. It's a directory, so the user provides a directory and then it does everything in that directory. Get file list will give you a bunch of files that are in there. It's nice to have a quick run through of some of the things that you're looking at here. We're looking at the length of that file list, the list of files. We're going to then print the first file. We're then going to combine that directory with that first file for a file path and print that as well in a nice neat way, just to make sure we get what we expect before we jump into this for loop. So if I select all of that and do run, and you'll see me do Control Shift and R a fair amount, and then just give it that one to check all those ones, and you'll see it's going to pull up these 14 files and print the first one and then clean it up and with the string, and then show the full path here. You can see in my comments here that it does include this slash, which I often forget, but it's nice to know that it's there. And so these are just double checks to make everything makes sense. And once that's done, and copy those and comment those out. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our open option here and tab over and place it in here. I've hit the wrap lines option. Yours may be off the window, but in this case what it's going to do is open this file over and over and over. We want to go through the items in the list and do one at a time. So what I'm going to do is a technique I do for every single function pretty much I do when I'm running macros in ImageJ, is to just take whatever the string is and just cut that out and turn it into an R string variable and paste that back again, put in the semicolon at the end, and then you can edit that section in here where the actual path is. So this part here, we just want to pull it out and replace it with what each file is in the list as it goes through the for loop. The for loop I've dropped in is just from a kind of template, and I've edited it. If you type in for, you get bunch of different auto suggests, and you have some options there. We're starting with 0, which is where the list starts from this case, and we've got the length as the largest point, and because it's 0 to 1 minus the length, the less than is sufficient. I'm also going to put in an if statement here, and if it ends with an OIB, we're going to keep moving on. If it doesn't, we just ignore it. And then we generate this variable, which is the full path to that particular file and that particular part of the loop. Okay. So this is the bit we want to remove. We don't want to just open the same file over and over again. So I do the same thing. You literally just hit the speech marks and then add in full path, and then plus, and then a speech mark. And it does keep this little space here, which is important. And then we need to make sure, remember to put in the R string in there. And so that will take care of it for each loop. It's going to open the right file. And then on the save file, we're going to do this point here. We're going to copy this, sorry, wrong one, the ome.tif. And we'll drop that in there. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. So just cut that out. And we're actually going to do something slightly different now because we have the problem of having to change the file name to be .ome.tif on the end. And so what we have here, we're just going to put in what we pasted so we don't lose it. I'm just going to cheat and pull in from a different file, but let's just copy it over. We're going to have a replace function. And we're going to use save path instead now, instead of full path. So full path is what we've picked up, and save path is where we're going to put it. And so it replaces the .oib on the end with .ome.tif. And so now we can use save path instead of full path. And so this R string still needs to be the same. We're going to copy the file part and do exactly the same thing. Get rid of that and place in plus save path, and then put in the R string there. Okay, and so that should go ahead and open them up and save them as needed. Let's go ahead and let's save that, and then we'll run that, and it will ask me for a folder. It's just defaulted to where I am already, and so we just go ahead with it and select it, and what have I forgotten? Excellent, I've forgotten the there's a debug window. Always I forget the semicolon going from Python to ImageJ macros. I forget that all the time. That's probably a good one to keep in the YouTube. So we go ahead and run that and try again. And so it's going to open every single file and convert that to an ome.tif. And so there you have it. That's the basics of the batch. Next one we're going to do is to clean that up, make it faster, and add a couple of little things that are important for rigor and reproducibility.